Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of Talking Business here on the Pardo's Business YouTube channel. Today we're talking with Rich, somebody I've known for almost about 10 years now, and he works in the hospitality industry. That's all I'm going to say about Rich, to be fair. I'll let him do the rest of the talking, and hopefully you'll get some real unique insight and some great career tips from Rich. Here we go. Okay, hi everyone. Thanks for joining us again here. We're talking business with Rich here today. I won't say too much about what Rich does. He can do that for you. So, Rich, how are you today?
I'm very well, surprising the world has ended, Dan. Thank you.
Okay, see, I told you this wasn't scripted. So, a couple of questions to kick you off then. Where are you now, Rich? I'm guessing you're at home, obviously, but whereabouts is that?
I'm at home in a mythical place where Robert Plant lives nearby. I like to keep it mythical, you see.
Oh, mythical. Okay, there we go. People will be Googling who Robert Plant is now. So, fantastic.
That makes me feel sad.
I'm just being truthful. So, moving on then. Did you study? Did you go to university or anything before we get into your job?
I didn't. No, I didn't. That was never a route that kind of opened up itself to me. Whether that was part of a kind of a class system or something that I had in my mind, I didn't think that university was for me. And so I just thought I'd get kind of into the workforce.
Bro. All right, speaking of a workforce then, what do you do now? What's your kind of job or business role now, or pre-COVID-19, if we want to get technical?
Pre-COVID-19, it was mainly operations manager, helping run a chain of well-known cafes in Birmingham city centre. Before that, it had been various chef roles, various barista roles, kind of everything to do with hospitality I'd done at one time or another, starting from being a glass collector at the British Legion all the way up to operations manager now, and everything in between, to try and learn as much as I could then. Currently, pre-COVID, my role was operations manager, which meant, I had my hands on the coffee roasting. I had my hands on developing menus with teams of chefs, growing teams, managing teams, teaching managers how to manage. Everything that you could do within a hospitality business basically came under that moniker of operations manager. And that's probably been my biggest role to date.
Fantastic, thank you. Now we've been talking about doing something together, education-wise or socially-wise, for a while now with regards to this. So I never thought I'd be asking you these questions, but here comes one for you. So in terms of your business, how's it been affected by COVID-19 now? Then your chain of coffee shops. I'm guessing it's not good. So could you fill us in a bit about what's gone on the last month or two and what's happening right now for us in mid-May?
Yes, I suppose taking it straight back to the beginning, I'd had conversations with my staff and my head chef about what was happening with this coronavirus, and thankfully I'm surrounded with some people that have a certain degree of foresight, so that when you mention these things at the time, if we cast our minds back to 3 billion years ago, or March, as I like to remember it.
4 billion, I think, but close, yeah.
Yeah. Then it was another period of time where people didn't really take it that seriously, and the whole idea of a lockdown was greeted with people kind of scoffing. But at the time, I remember speaking to my head chef and my team, and we were talking about, nothing that was being said about how viruses can spread between food or food environments. Cafes, the amount of people that were coming in and out, and all we was being really told was to kind of wash our hands, and that was all the advice really at that time. And so you knew just from that idea of washing your hands that it was a contagious thing that could create mayhem. Yeah. And as we started to see customers stay away a bit more, that's when we really thought, okay, this is going to get far worse. And I think a few days before the official lockdown happened, we went down the route of making sure that we we closed our Birmingham location a bit earlier because we didn't want to put the staff at risk.
Yeah.
Because that's a huge issue. No one wants to put other people at risk, especially when at the time we didn't know whether it did severely affect everyone. There was all this kind of mythical sentences surrounding coronavirus.
Yeah. And everybody had different opinions that weren't really based on anything at that time, and
exactly,
judgment from different things. As a business, then, did you have any kind of inside knowledge that a lockdown was coming, or did you just find out by watching the TV like the rest of us? How was that message kind of passed to you as people who run a business?
It was weird. We kind of knew that a lockdown was coming. You could kind of predict it from places like Milan, and the fact that Milan, Italy as a whole, is a place that absolutely loves the hospitality industry. The whole country is based on hospitality. And for them to take the step to close down their cafes and hospitality businesses was quite a big shock. So you knew it was coming, but what you didn't quite know was how you were going to be able to sustain that business, how you were going to be able to allow it to go into hibernation for an elongated period of time. Because at the time, I think we thought it could have been 1 to 2 months. I think it's what are we on now? We're on the second or third month.
Yeah, it'll be April to May, so it'll be the second month today. I think it's 2 months today or close to it. You say the word hibernation there. That's an interesting word to use, as in you expect to kind of wake up from it all at some point. Is that what you're expecting?
Yeah.
Any time frames in line with that, or just go with the flow of what happens in the rest of the country?
I've heard rumours that normality would start to begin around October. Right. However, we can't predict that. When I say hibernation, what I mean is, have the ability to at least safely open up the city centre location to a wider audience and not be a contagion hub. But I think realistically, when there's a large hospitality group chat that I'm a part of, when people are talking about the issues that are going to come up in the future, it's all still based on normal consumer habits. And I don't think that those consumer habits are going to be the same. So I think these predictions that we make are going to be completely different when it comes down to what the actual consumers want to do. I think we could see a year, 2 years go by before normal consumer habits get back to normal. And you mentioned earlier about the fact that people working from home are going to see that become more of a part of their life. So we probably will see localized communities start to pop up more and more, which when you look at a city centre location, what does that mean? What does that mean for a high rent business? A big hospitality business in the centre of town that requires heavy footfall. We need people to congregate in order to make a successful business.
Yeah, and that's how I see. As an outsider who would just visit places like yours, I see it as passing trade. You have your regulars who will always come regardless of weather or any situation, and then you've got your passing trade, the meeting that happens to be in town. And you'll lose that footfall, that passing trade, which I presume, keeps a lot of your business going. And it is that kind of, where you go to a coffee shop, it's always busy. That's why you go to that coffee shop, because it's busy, because they must sell good coffee. And that kind of idea, I guess, is just gone now.
Yeah, and I mean, another aspect is the fact that our place specifically, people come to celebrate. So they'll for a Valentine's Day or birthday or whatever. And who now wants to go to celebrate something with a face mask on, have your temperature taken at the door,
That's right.
you are 2 meters apart. It hasn't become the picture of the future that people are trying to push regarding the hospitality industry does not correlate with how normal people want to spend their time and enjoy spending their time. And that's what it's all based on.
Yeah, and going in with that, the next question I had for you was, where does hospitality go now? And you talk about how people want to spend their time in hospitality. And you hear the rumours about Weatherspoons when it's going to open. You hear McDonald's are opening up drive-throughs, and okay, that's great. You get a McDonald's burger, but you don't get to sit in the restaurant and smell it and enjoy it. And even the big businesses who are struggling to open up, then where does the hospitality industry go for some of the smaller ones like you? And there's businesses even smaller than yours who just might not even be around as we speak this, unfortunately. So where do you see your industry going now? If all you're basing it on is rumours that October will be better, or people's opinion that it'll be 2 years, where does the hospitality industry go now? In fact, what does hospitality industry mean to you, first of all? Because I say hospitality to students and sometimes they don't know. So what would you class hospitality as, and where do we go now?
Well, hospitality for me is it's groups of talented people that host you to make you feel at ease. So places like restaurants, and it could be your favorite clubs, pubs, bars, hotels. That's hospitality. Quite often they're seen as kind of low level work, but once you're in it and you get part of something special and you build up people's skill sets, you can see that it's really a high level focused workforce that you end up standing with. Regarding where it will go, it's one that is ever changing. I keep asking myself, and it's a weird situation to be in, isn't it? Because you've got this chaos going on, but you're trying to make sense of it in order to predict the future.
Yeah.
And in the 2 months of lockdown so far, we haven't been able to grasp anything to figure out where it's going or what's going to happen. The only thing that we can do is kind of look to what we don't think is going to happen. And I don't think that people are going to want to wear face masks to go out to enjoy a meal. That's just not going to happen. They're not going to want to jump on public transport to go into town, to go to a restaurant that they've had to book a reservation for, and it's not that busy. So now you feel on edge because there's no one around. So I think the future will be takeaway options, definitely, but it might be based more around healthy eating. That could be something that comes out of this. You could see more integration with calorie counting apps like MyFitnessPal and other things like that. So that could be a point of difference for certain menus to link up with an app that tells you about your nutrition, because obviously the health aspect of all this and the nutritional aspect is going to have a bit of a boom as soon as we come out, I would say. So I'd say the takeaway option and the health aspect are going to be huge. I think, unfortunately, you'll start to see probably smaller workforces because as cafes and restaurants work towards a more of a takeout business model, you need less people because you're hosting. There's less cleaning up for you. There's less things to do.
I think that gets forgotten about a bit on the reports that I read. That, oh, great, let's open up cafes again. They can at least do takeout. And I think it gets forgotten about that there are a lot of staff that therefore are just not needed, without meaning to sound too harsh, to anybody who might be watching this. But for takeout, you do need less staff, and that just seems to be forgotten about when it comes to employment. And great, the industry's back, but in no way, shape or form is that fair to what it was. Would you say so?
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think for some strange reason, there's this incessant kind of belief that we're sticking it to the virus by getting open as quickly as we can, and it's like, no, the whole idea behind it is that if you don't take these precautions, it could be with us for years and years and years and years and years, and then you don't get your cafes back for years and years and years because you haven't played the game.
Yeah. And then they're not the same cafes anyway, and everybody has to start again with getting loyal customers who would come to you regardless.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, how do you predict the future of an industry where all of your customers are going through an existential crisis?
Yeah, well, you can't. It's hard enough to, you get all psychological and sociological, but this is a kind of study that's never been required or never been done, has it? It's the people's mindset and the changes that they're going through. As a consumer, I was never going out for coffee much anyway, and now it's very low on my list of things to do.
Yeah, same for me.
That's at its basic level. If I went through the thought process behind that, we'd be here for hours. But that is certainly, something that we have to think about.
Yeah, and I think when we talked about menus, there was a phenomenon that we always talk about with menus, that when you go to a restaurant and you say, look at this menu, it looks great, that looks amazing, that looks great, this looks beautiful, that looks amazing, I'm going to have the burger. There's this idea of what looks amazing and you wish you wanted to eat so bad,
yes,
but what you actually want to eat. And I think that that's just a common thing in the human mind, that maybe everyone wants to get out there. They really want to go and get a coffee, or they really want to go and get some food. But deep down, in the reality, are they going to do that? Should they do that?
Yeah.
Are they going to feel guilty by doing that?
Yeah. Yeah, and then what are also the issues with doing that? Like, how do I get there? Where do I park? I can't travel by transport. How do my kids get there? What do we do while we're there? Is it worth it? Especially being a city centre location, you're stuck with just the people who live in the city centre without a transport system that works.
Am I now part of that group of people that people think are part of the problem? It's all that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff. And so how does that work then in terms of the future for employment in it? Giving it a bit of like a link back to our students here, or any students who are watching this. I worked in hospitality for quite a few years. I studied tourism, and I worked in that industry for a bit. And what would you say to people now? So we've got a tourism industry, we've got a hospitality industry that at the moment essentially doesn't even exist. What if you're still aspiring to be that? What if you've got family members who have always worked in it and that's where you want to go? What would you say to those people who are in maybe their late teens who are thinking, but I really wanted to do that? What happens next? What would you say to them?
I think that, to quote the great Bruce Springsteen, everything that dies one day comes back. Mm-hmm. And I think it's going to come back.
Yeah.
And if you're really passionate about the industry, because before you even pick up a knife or go into that industry, you've got to have that passion and that desire to want to be part of it, because it's a beautiful industry. The camaraderie between people, the skills that you get taught stay with you for life. It's a great industry to be part of. But if you want to get into it and you're worried about this virus, then you're actually in the best place for it, because you're not in it already. You're not worried about a workforce or your friends that are being employed, and you're just looking for that entry point in it. Then you can learn from YouTube, something that we didn't have growing up. You can learn from everywhere you possibly can to make yourself be relevant in that new world. And I mean, the amount of opportunity that there probably is on single individuals to create their kind of hospitality lifestyle business, whether it's from their own kitchens or just baking cakes or doing local deliveries, or these people could even practice cooking meals for vulnerable people at the minute to distribute them around their local area. There's many things that you can do and give it away if you don't want to charge people for, that's giving you an insight into how business works, not just how cooking works.
Yeah, and that positivity that you're talking about there, I've seen that in the past from the students I've had. In the at the end of term or whatever, they'll bring in a massive cake, and you'll say, "Which shop did you get this from?" And I go, "Oh no, I baked it," and it's no big deal to them because they bake. And we've had cupcakes brought in and all this kind of food that they've cooked, and you just go, but how are you doing that? And then you're not actually doing that maybe for a living or as your passion or your desire. So, maybe for those students, if they are fortunate enough to watch this and see your positive words that, oh, you've got the skills needed, there's a market out there for you, whether it's just the 10 local streets around your area, but now's the time to jump on it. Is that kind of what you're going at?
Yeah, definitely. I think you can kind of hustle your way around it at the moment, and then feel your way, navigate your way into the hospitality industry when it re-emerges. I mean, any kind of skills that you can learn now and kind of business acumen that you can put into your local community, wherever it may be, are going to put you in good stead. I'm a firm believer of having yourself at the top of the pile. It doesn't matter if someone's watching you or someone's looking, as long as you're doing your best and you're putting yourself to the top of the pile, someone will eventually see it.
Yeah.
I think as long as people are getting after it and learning their skills, really delving deep into the hospitality industry from kind of heroes that I had, like Anthony Bourdain and even Gordon Ramsay and Fred Siriex, that most people know from that dating program, very suave French maitre d', where he did programs before called The Art of Service with Michel Roux Jr. that was phenomenal, blew me away when I saw them. And so if you could kind of gain insight from these amazing people that have already existed, then eventually you'll be standing on the shoulders of giants.
Wow, fantastic. I mean, what a positive note to kind of wrap this up on and finish that up on. But we just don't get enough positive stuff, I think, in the media and a lot of the social media that gets to the forefront. So it's really nice to hear some positive words from somebody who's kind of been there, done that, still doing it best he can. I presume you are. But that's real positive stuff to finish on, Rich. I can't thank you enough for that, but I'll try. I'll say thank you very much. Cheers for talking business with us, and we'll see each other soon. Fingers crossed.
Thanks for having me, brother.
No problem. See you, Rich. Thank you.
See you, bud.
Bye-bye.
So there you go. Episode 2 of Talking Business with Rich, and a big thanks to him for taking the time to do that for us. It's really, really appreciated, and what a unique insight and unique career advice there for the entrepreneurs out there, and also for those students who worked in the hospitality industry before this COVID-19 global pandemic. I hope you picked up a lot from that, and I hope you can take that further and integrate it into your own learning and your own personal development. Thank you very much, and we'll see you on the next episode of Talking Business here on the Pardo's Business YouTube channel.